Okay, welcome. Today, in this video, we're going to look at how you create a work submission form or a Dropbox using Google Forms. So that your first step would be to log into your Google account, and then you want to go to the drive. Once you're at the drive, you want to click on Create, and you're going to create a form. Okay, and the first thing you need to do with any Google Doc is to give it a title, because they all come up as untitled. So I'm going to delete untitled form, and I'm going to call this work submission form. Some people call them assignment Dropbox, some call them work submission form. That's up to you. I use work submission form just to avoid any confusion with the traditional Dropboxes that we have on the student desktop on our network. So at the top of the form, there are 3 checkboxes. If I click on Require MUHSD Sign In to view this form, the students have to be signed into their Google account in the same web browser when they go to look at the form. Otherwise, they'll find a blank web page with an error message. If I click on Automatically Collect Respondent's MUHSD Username, that is going to give me the student's email address, their first initial, last name, ID number at muhsd.org. I like having that. I think it's just another little verification step to make sure that the kid submitting the work is who he says he is. Of course, it's not foolproof, but every little bit helps. So there are 2 sample questions in the form when I open it up. And so sample question 1, I'm going to erase that, and I'm going to call this one first name. And I'm going to leave it as a text question. This is what will appear for the student to type in, and I'm going to make this a required question. For teachers, almost every question you put on a form you want to make required. Otherwise, you will have some students who won't fill it out, even if it's their name. So now I've got the first question done, and I need to get in and change sample question 2. So when I hover my cursor over sample question 2, it turns into this 4-headed arrow. And if I move over to the right, there are 3 buttons that appear. The first one is a pencil. That's the edit button. So I'm going to edit the question, and I'm going to put last name. Now, the reason for doing last name and first name separately is so that you can sort your data later on. If you just put name, you'll have some students who will just put their first name. You'll have some that just put their last name. You'll have some put first, then last. Some put last, comma, first. And it makes sorting your data harder. And you're going to get everything in a spreadsheet when the students submit it. And the more consistently the data is entered, the easier it is to manage. And I'm going to make this a required question also. Okay, so I click Done. Now, there are 2 ways to get more questions on my form. I can use the Add Item button, which works just fine. But a little bit quicker and simpler way is to take the previous question, hover over it, and pick this middle button, which is the Duplicate button. And when I duplicate that, the one little advantage that it gives me is that the Make This a Required Question is already checked. And so now after first and last name, I want to get their ID number. And it would help if I capitalize that. Okay, so I'm done with that. Now I'm going to duplicate that question. And one nice thing about the forms is if I set them up properly, I can use them for multiple classes. I can even use them for multiple assignments. So what I generally advise you to put here next is, what period are you in? And that, again, aids me in sorting my data. And again, you want consistency in the way the data is entered. So you don't want to leave this as a text question, because some kids will put a number, some will write it out as a word. You'll get all kinds of variations. So instead of a text question, I'm going to choose either multiple choice or choose from list. Multiple choice shows, they both do the same thing, but multiple choice shows all the options on the screen at the same time. It takes up more room. Choose from list is a little drop-down list, which is more compact. and I like that a little bit better, at least for this option, for this type of question. So I'm just going to put in period 1, and I can either click to add option, or I can just use the tab button and it automatically drops me down and adds an option for me. And so I'm just going to put in all my periods. I'm just hitting tab in between. So I put in 6 periods. Most teachers have a prep period, and so you probably don't need all 6 of those. But if you want to get rid of one of them, if you got 4th period prep and you just got carried away typing, all you have to do is click this little X here and it deletes that option. I can leave this one alone because it will not show up on the form because if nothing has been entered into it yet. And now I'm done. And so my next question is also going to be a drop-down list question, and that's going to be the assignment name. And again, you don't have to make this form over and over again. You can make one form and use it for lots of assignments. So I'm going to put in the names of the assignments I will be collecting. Whatever those may be. Okay, so if I don't have more than 3 assignments, again, I can just go in and delete these. More than likely, you don't know the names of all the assignments you're going to collect through your Google form, so you don't have to worry about recreating this form later on. I can always come back in and edit, and when I get to the screen, I can add the next assignment. So that's done. And then there's one more question I need to put on my form, and the main reason for using the Google form to collect assignments instead of having the students use the sharing function is that when someone shares a document with you, the document shows up in your Google Drive and you get an email confirmation saying that someone has shared the document with you. So if you multiply the number of assignments that you're going to give with the number of students you have, you could potentially end up with thousands of emails and thousands of documents. That's very, very messy. We want to avoid that if we can. And the Dropbox form or the work submission form is very nice for this because it just gives it to you all in one spreadsheet. And you can control the spreadsheet a lot easier than you can all those thousands of documents. So my last question is going to be copy and paste the share link to your document. Okay, and so instead of a choose from list, I'm going to put this as a paragraph text. You can use the regular text box, which is the small one you see up here, but the paragraph text is bigger. They both hold the same amount of text. The only thing is with the paragraph text you can see more of it. And that just seems to be easier on the students and easier on the eye when you're submitting it because the share links are very long. And so I'm going to click done there. And then I am going to go up here and I can spice up my form a little bit, jazz it up by applying a theme. Right now it's going to be very plain. It's going to look very much like this. And if I click on theme, I get the theme gallery. There are about 97 different themes right now. Some of them are very nice looking. The problem is some of them have very, very large headers. So if I'm a PE teacher, I might look at this and say, wow, that would look really cool. But if the kids are using like the minis, the netbooks, those screens are very small. And when they pull up the web page, this may be all they see. And if they don't scroll down, they may assume that there's nothing else on the page. And so just to make it easier on you to avoid having kids throwing questions at you that they should be able to figure out very easily, I'm going to use a form with a smaller header. And you do want to preview it and see if the colors, obscure some of the questions, which I've found with a few of the themes. But if I like the theme, then I can just click apply, and it takes me back to the edit page. Okay, so I'm done creating my form, and so I'm going to go ahead and close this window, and it takes me back to my drive, and here is my work submission form. So when you click on it to open it after you've edited it, what comes up is a spreadsheet, and so this is where all the information is going to be. It will timestamp exactly when the student submitted it down to the second. The username is where you'll see their email address that was automatically generated, and then these are the columns that I created. And you can resize the columns all you want. Okay. Now, if I want to go back in and edit the form, I can't edit it from here. What I need to do is go to the form menu and then go to edit form, and that will bring up the window we were just working in. Okay, so if I go back and now I want to add an assignment, I can go in and edit this question, and I can go down to the bottom here and I can add, I'm going to put in reading log 2. And I can do this at any time, even after students have submitted work. It does not affect what they've already submitted. Okay. One little quirk on Google Forms is that they don't always save automatically. I mean, they do, but not as frequently as we would like. So you need to pay attention to the save button up here. And if the save button appears, you need to click it and save it. Now it says saved. And now I can close that. And if I want to see what my form is going to look like, I go to the form menu and I can go to live form. And this is what the students are going to see. So the next step is to find a way to get this form to the students. And the recorder that I'm using has a limitation on time, so that's going to be a separate video. So look for part 2 to this video, and that will show you how to get the form to the students.